It's a Fugu Wednesday. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Kweku Temeng, and tonight, as usual, we bring you the best of stories making headlines in the country. We have politics, agriculture, we'll touch on issues surrounding business, we'll throw you into the sports world, and we'll bring you some international news. Before we do so, let's look at some of the top stories that we have for you tonight. Coming up in the next 60 minutes after a lengthy emergency cabinet meeting on the mounting challenges in the cocoa sector, government finally agreed to a far-reaching measure with approved expedited payment to cocoa farmers and sweeping reforms at Cocoa Board. Also, coming up, President Mahama inaugurates Presidential Advisory Group on Economy, tasking the economic power brains to provide strategic direction on industrial growth, export expansion, and job creation while supporting key national initiatives, including the 24-hour economy policy.
Consolidation, debt sustainability, and the coherence between fiscal and monetary policy.
Well, later in the bulletin, former Ghana High Commissioner to Nigeria, Baba Jamal, officially files nomination to contest the March 3 Ayawaso East election after internal probe by the NDC over alleged vote buying during the party's February 7 parliamentary primary. And we'll bring you updates from our world of business as Ghana Union of Traders Association, I'm talking about GHOne, urges government to urgently review Act 1151, demands a simplified 3 to 4% VAT flat rate for the informal sector to make tax compliance easier for traders.
We are prepared to face them squarely.
And then news coming in from the international front, self-proclaimed Kenyan preacher linked to starvation court responsible for over 400 deaths has been charged in connection with additional fatalities. All right, so tonight we have these and many other interesting stories making the 1 hour bulletin. Don't you forget that, yes, we'll be bringing you some sports updates from our EIB sports team. So be my guest, stay with us as we share all these stories and many more with you. The program is News Tonight, and my name is Kweku Temeng. Delight having you here. Tonight we'll start with the presidency as President John Dramani Mahama has inaugurated the Presidential Advisory Group on the Economy, and that's PAGE, charging them to help steer Ghana's economic transformation agenda. While speaking at the inauguration group at the presidency, President John Dramani Mahama urged members of PAGE to provide strategic direction on industrial growth, export expansion, and job creation while supporting the rollout of key national initiatives, including the 24-hour economic policy. Well, Presidential Affairs correspondent Abdul Hanan Adam has more in the following report.
The Presidential Advisory Group PAGE, comprising Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, former Finance Minister and Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Kobna Dufo, private sector leads, Kwame Penyin and Dr. Ishmael Yamson, economists, Togbe Afede, and a host of others, have been given a broad and ambitious mandate to help reposition Ghana's economy for sustainable growth and competitiveness. Swearing in the 12-member team, President Mahama charged them to advise on structural transformation, industrial development, competitiveness, and export-led growth strategies. The group is also expected to guide sectoral development, private sector expansion, investment mobilization, and sustainable job creation, including supporting the design and implementation of the 24-hour economy policy and other flagship national initiatives.
The mandate of PAGE, as outlined in your letters of appointment and accompanying public release, is both clear and consequential. You're expected to provide strategic counsel on macroeconomic management, fiscal consolidation, debt sustainability, and the coherence between fiscal and monetary policy. You are to advise on structural transformation, industrial development, competitiveness, and export-led growth strategies. Page is also charged with offering guidance on sectoral development, private sector expansion, investment mobilization, and sustainable job creation, while supporting the design and implementation of flagship national initiatives, including the 24-hour economy, the Accelerated Export Development Program, and other productive.
Well, we apologize on the president's audio. We will rework it and ensure we play it back for you. But away from the presidency, let's talk politics, as Mohammed Baba Jamal has officially filed his nomination to contest the March 3 Ayawaso East by-election, just hours before the Electoral Commission's deadline. Well, his decision comes after days of scrutiny and an internal NDC investigation into the alleged vote buying during the party's February 7 parliamentary primary. Well, after reviewing the committee's report, the NDC's Functional Executive Committee cleared him to contest. The party explained that its constitution does not allow the primary to be annulled and cited time constraints ahead of the EC's deadline in confirming him as the candidate. Well, there's more in the following report.
Clad in white and welcomed by loud cheers from party faithfuls, Baba Jamal arrived at the Greater Accra Regional Office of the Electoral Commission to file his nomination for the Ayawaso East by-election. Supporters thronged the premises in solidarity as the former High Commissioner to Nigeria completed the process without incident. This comes just a week after he faced public scrutiny over allegations of distributing television sets and motorbikes during the party's parliamentary primaries. The claims led to his recall from his diplomatic post in Nigeria and triggered an internal party probe into suspected inducement. Speaking to the media after filing his nomination, Baba Jamal struck a tone of gratitude and resolve, thanking the president for the opportunity to serve the country and his fans for their show of solidarity.
Let me start first by thanking Almighty Allah for taking me through this very, very difficult time and bringing me this far. I also want to extend my thanks, sincere thanks to the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, for finding me worthy of going to Nigeria to represent our country. I want to also thank the National Chairman and the General Secretary and all FEC members for their support and decision to maintain me as the parliamentary candidate for this by-election.
His supporters insist the recent controversy will not dent the NDC's strength in the constituency.
So even the controversy gave him this exposure. Yes. Because yesterday when he came, everybody was saying, how is it, how is this going? So everybody was eager. Yes. Yeah, it gave him exposure.
That the election is internal election. It's a house election. No matter how big be the case, one person has win. You understand? But at the end of the day, we thank God Almighty Allah, alhamdulillah, Baba Jamal has win, or Baba Jamal has won. Because of what? Because the Electoral Commission has declared him as a victorious at the polling center. Everybody accepted, those who lost accepted that we have lost, and who want to accept that I've won. So what again? You know, no matter how may be the case, there must be a virus anywhere. Yes. I think you understand me. So the virus try to eat up, the program in the system. So we have the antivirus, then we work with them to pull them out.
Baba Jamal is the one. Ayawaso is for NDC. once the umbrella is there, Baba Jama will win hands down. Because so everybody knows that's a stronghold. Anybody that comes, whether independent candidates or whatever, or MPP, cannot compete with us.
When nominations officially closed and campaign activities expected to intensify, attention now turns to March 3 polls, where voters in Ayawaso East will decide whether to reaffirm the party's grip on the seat.
All right, so my sincere apologies. The breaking sound there, you can always trust our engineers to rework their sound. So we're back with all the energy, and we're staying on politics as the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, that's IPAC, has reached consensus on the modalities for the upcoming Ayawaso East by-elections, paving way for what stakeholders describe as a peaceful and credible poll. Well, the Electoral Commission, together with representatives of the political parties, met to finalize arrangements ahead of the Ayawaso East East by-elections. Well, key issues discussed included security, deployment, voter verification, processes, that's the polling station logistics, and the collation of results. Addressing journalists after meeting the representatives of the MPP and NDC, they all expressed optimism about winning the Ayawaso East by-election.
For the Ayawaso East by-election, and I can assure you, we've agreed to all their processes they have laid out in terms of printing the ballot papers and then deployment of the party agents. We've agreed that we are going to deploy 2 party agents at a time for each of the polling stations. Ideally, it's supposed to be 1-1 because parliamentary election, but because it's just a restricted parliamentary election, they've given us that opportunity that we deploy 2 party agents for each of the polling stations. We are ready. We have filed our candidate today. As we speak now, we have officially filed. We are going to win. Our aim is to increase the margin. I mean, that is what we are going in. It's not about winning. It's about increasing the margin. We got the last time we were 22,000 plus. We are expecting to go further, at least to about 25,000 more, because of the good work of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and what the party is doing for the good people of Ayawaso and all that. So we are expecting a very massive win. We're thinking our opponents will just chicken out. I mean, naturally, because it's not a place for them to come and waste anybody's time. But since they are coming, let them come. We'll give them the heaviest defeats in their life as a political party and people. So we are ready for it, and we are sure we are going to win.
The new patriotic party is going to win Ayawaso East by-election with our candidate Baba Ali. And we are all here and we say that it's a constituency who will win this time around. And so I'm putting it to you. Be there in your numbers, but let's also ensure that the EC will conduct peaceful and fair elections. You call on all stakeholders, especially the police, to ensure that there's peace in this process.
Well, this is News Tonight. Let's bring you some other stories. And here, the Narcotics Control Commission says it will soon begin licensing the cultivation of medical and industrial cannabis in Ghana, following Parliament's approval of the regulatory framework. In a press statement issued and signed by the Acting Director of Public Affairs and International Relations, Francis Poku Amoa, the Commission clarified that only qualified entities will be granted licenses. Well, it stressed that the policy permits the cultivation of cannabis with a THC content not exceeding 0.3% and strictly for medical and industrial purposes. Recreational use of cannabis remains illegal. Well, the Commission is urging prospective applicants to engage directly with NACOG through its Cannabis Regulatory Department and to avoid individuals or groups claiming to facilitate the licensing process. It further emphasized that only officially approved procedures will be recognized. All right, so you would definitely want to get some more updates on this particular story. You can also share your thoughts on it. Yes, we are going to grow marijuana or cannabis, if you would want to put it that way. And the concern here is it is only for medicinal purposes. If you're going to engage in it for recreational purposes, remember, it is still illegal. But joining us for a conversation on this is the Acting Director of Public Affairs and International Relations at the Narcotics Control Commission, Francis Opoku Amoa. Francis, thank you very much for your time. So I've penned a few things down that I'm expecting some answers from you. Now, with the Commission preparing to roll out licenses for medical and industrial use, what concrete safeguards are you putting in place to ensure the process is transparent, tightly regulated, and not exploited under the guise of cultivation?
Thank you. I hope I'm talking to Kweku.
Absolutely. Kweku Temeng here.
Yes. Yeah, Kweku, thank you so much. And as you rightly said, we're making sure that people who qualify for the license will get it. We have 11 or more different types of licensing available. And each license has a regulation, or each license will tell you what you can do with it. For instance, if you say that you're going to be exporting, we're going to make sure that that is what you do. If you say that storage license is what you need, we will make sure that that is what you're doing. If you say that you're doing transportation, that is what you get. So the good thing is that the Narcotics Control Commission is going to go strictly by whatever license you apply for. And therefore, once you apply for, then we are going to make sure that, one, you qualify, and once you get it, we're going strictly by what you're supposed to use that license for. The good thing is that even though we're about rolling it out, we've had high-level senior officers who have been to Morocco, Malawi, and other places and have studied how those people are doing this. And we're just going to see situated in our context, as in Ghana, how can we do it to make sure that, one, it is transparent, two, it is robust, and it is for the people of Ghana. At the end of the day, we're doing it on behalf of the people of Ghana, and we'll make sure that whoever gets the license is using it for the purpose he or she acquired the license for.
All right, so for a parent who is at home criticizing the Narcotics Control Commission that, look, this is a panacea to destroy our children, to destroy our generation, how can you educate within 30 seconds that this could be vice versa and that there could be pharmaceutical use and other medicinal use for marijuana?
Thank you so much, Kweku. The simple thing we will say is that what we are going to allow people to cultivate is 0.03%. 0.03%. It is not for recreational purpose. The recreational purpose is the one that has 40, 45, 50% of the THC in it. That is illegal. What we are saying is that this new one that we're going to allow people to cultivate under strict regulation is going to create employment opportunity for our young people, because it is going to be for industrial and medicinal. People who are going to engage in it are going to do it on a large scale and therefore will require the services of people. It is not for recreational, and therefore we can assure our parents, our mothers, our fathers that this is not for smoking. This is going to be something that we're going to use that will be beneficial for the country and for export.
All right, we can appreciate you, Francis, for joining us tonight to just explain. I'm sure within the coming days we'll stay on the subject, and you at home will do our best to educate you more on really what NACOC intends to do with this initiative. All is set for us to bring you insight tonight, and it's about the cocoa sector. Well, on Insight tonight, after a lengthy emergency cabinet meeting over challenges in the cocoa industry, government has arrived at a far-reaching measure to avert what could possibly deepen the challenges. While addressing journalists after a high-level session, the Minister of State in charge of government communication, Felix Kwakye, said the cabinet has agreed on expedited payment to cocoa farmers, sweeping reforms at Cocoa Board, and bold structural changes aimed at shifting Ghana from exporting raw beans to significantly expanding domestic cocoa processing.
At the end of the emergency session, decisive measures have been agreed upon regarding expedited payments of cocoa farmers, regarding the implementation of the most drastic reforms in the cocoa sector, with a view to achieving quantum leaps in domestic processing of cocoa, as opposed to exports of raw materials, and various reforms to be carried out at Cocoa Board in order to ensure more effective administration and management of the cocoa sector. Now, at 11 a.m. tomorrow, the finance minister will address the people of Ghana and announce these far-reaching measures as agreed upon at the end of the cabinet meeting today. So,
all right, so government has spoken. What are your concerns also? President of the Cocoa Farmers Association, Nana Obade joins me now for a conversation on the back of this. Nana Obade, we're grateful for your time tonight. So, yes, we just had Felix Kwachi of Osu a short while ago, giving us what government intends to do. You've been following your payments since last November. I'm tempted to find out from you. So the government saying that, look, hold on, tomorrow we're coming back with information and that would significantly address all your concerns. Are you taking this or not?
Good evening to your viewers, and then thank you very much for this opportunity. We are grateful that the president today had a serious and an emergency meeting with his cabinet concerning this unpaid money that we are waiting for. We have the assurance because Honorable Randy Abbey or Dr. Randy Abbey had engaged us, and then we know, or he told us that at the end of the day, directives have been made for our money to be paid. So we do have a strong belief that at the end of the day, we are going to receive our money. And now that the president also engaged them, and then Honorable Dr. Akufo-Addo will also come out, let's say tomorrow, I think it's going to be a good news. So we are preparing to hear this good news that is tomorrow, because most of the farmers are waiting for. That is what we are waiting for. This is what we have been waiting for the past 3 months. So tomorrow is going to be a very good day for us to receive this pleasant news.
All right, Nana, just before I allow you to go, so at some point you were going to demonstrate. I don't know, is it because of the meeting that rightly you've come out to say, okay, maybe cocoa farmers are not going to protest again?
Well, there are other people that they wanted to stage a demonstration. I mean, the farmers that have not received the money threatening a lot, and if it is ongoing threatening come here and there, but then we've also told them to hold on a bit for the demonstration that they want to do. We want to hear from the Ministry of Finance tomorrow, and then also the demonstration, actually, it is on two phases that they wanted to stage, but then the main one that they wanted to do was the debt that was there. It is not about the money that has not been paid, but the debt that was there. We are calling that who caused that debt. Whoever that caused this financial losses have to be paid, because they can't take farmers for granted. That is what we mean, because at the end of the day, whose fault? We have been hearing that people are playing politics with it. We are farmers. We don't do politics. Our main political party is the cocoa that we do a plant and then we benefit from. So we are also trying to tell the two parties not to play politics with this, but then also allow the system to operate, and then for we to have our money peacefully, and then also deal with the situation on the ground. How come we have such a debt that has brought we this so far?
All right, so Nana, just before I also permit you to exit at this moment, I want to find out from you. I'm expecting that Finance Minister Kweku Atofosson would be addressing the nation tomorrow and the far-reaching measures that have been reached. But before then, do you anticipate that, look, they should call all of you, discuss with you first before they make every information public, or, right, they should go ahead for all Ghanaians to know what is due you?
Well, it's two phases. One, we send a message to Felix Kwachi that we want to meet the president. There are some pressing issues that with the farmers we have, which the president has to know. We need to address it with the president. But we've not had any response from him, because we said it earlier on that if he's meeting his cabinet, after meeting his cabinet, the next people that they have to meet is with the farmers, because there are a lot of things that it is worrying us. Today, it is about the money that has not been paid. Tomorrow, it will be the cocoa trees, which is now going off. They are cutting it down. It is being destroyed. And there are no laws that is so serious that is being protecting it. It is only with the concerned farmers that we hold in high esteem. that we are preventing people not to cut this cocoa tree. So that one is also a factor with it. But at the end of the day, too, we are expecting something good from our brother, Dr. Afuforsen, to tell us the good news tomorrow.
Nobody, since you were born, we've had a system where we wait for the cocoa syndicated loan to hit the government's account, and then there's jubilations. Farmers will say, cocoa sikanabo. But around this time, they are saying that we are going to see drastic changes with Cocoa Board. And that's to say that, are you anticipating that, these measures, do you have even any wing of it that, look, from tomorrow going, expect that this is how the modalities that we're going to follow, so long as cocoa buying is concerned? Do you have any tip of course, you are in and around Cocoa Board every now and then?
Yeah, well, with our engagement with Cocoa Board, that was last Friday. It was a very pleasant one that they made it known to us that this is not the first time that we are going to meet, but then there's going to be a series of meetings that will engage most of us within any decision making and how things is going to turn around. Because now there's going to be a different modality of how to purchase or pay cocoa farmers. So that one will be part of it, but we are waiting for that day so that all of us will contribute to it, and then things will be proper for all of us.
All right, and I can say a big thank you to you. Thank you for joining us on tonight's program. That would close it for Insights, and I'm sure as and when issues crop up tomorrow, this should be the channel that you tune into, because we'll bring you all the updates. Appreciation to my colleague from the presidency, Abdul Hanan Adam. Well, that will do for Insight for tonight. All right, so we're grateful that you kept faith with us. It's now time to get to the judiciary. Now, after a brief 7-month journey to the Supreme Court bench, Justice Philip Bright-Mensah has retired from the Apex Court, making the end of a career-fulfilling journey that has been described as a lifetime of hard work, where the Supreme Court judge reflected on his difficult journey to the Apex Court on Wednesday at a special valedictory judgment ceremony where he delivered his final judgment. Flanked by his colleagues at the bench, Justice Philip Mensah looked back at his time at the bench with pride, recalling the challenges he had overcome to reach the pinnacle of his career. EIB Network's legal affairs correspondent Mutala Enusa was at the ceremony. His father's report.
It was a moment of reflection, a moment to look back to what he has achieved right from the day he entered into the judiciary to the day that he bows out. Justice Philip Bright-Mensah, 7 months at the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court, has bowed out. He's bowed out with his head high after having set a standard for himself, having set a target for himself, and he has been able to achieve that target. And that standard is to be at the Supreme Court, to reach the Supreme Court before he retired. Today, at 70, Justice Philip Bright-Mensah has retired. He retired at 7 months at the Supreme Court bench. He had a moment to share his journey with the gathering.
I thank all registrars and staff from Jaboso to Sefwi, to Bemiani through to Kumasi, Accra, Sekeni, and again in Accra here, both in the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. I salute you all and express my immense appreciation for the kind assistance and support.
Acting Chief Justice, Justice Gabriel Paman, who was representing the Chief Justice who was absent within the jurisdiction, also took turns to acknowledge the work done by Justice Philip Bright-Mensah and eulogize him for what he has done for himself, for the nation, and for the country at large.
Though his tenure on this court was necessarily brief, his lordship's perseverance was nonetheless rewarded because he has had an impactful tenure at the Supreme Court. We as the judiciary shall continue to engage you from time to time to come and share your experiences and your knowledge with those that you have left behind on the bench in training and as part of the Judicial Training Institute.
The president of the Ghana Bar Association, Mrs. Efuagati, also took turns to eulogize Justice Philip Bright-Mensah.
Justice Philip Bright-Mensah is a good man. He is courteous to lawyers. He is compassionate and will encourage you to make your points, even if you falter when commencing your arguments. He is firm and friendly. He has a good temperament and is also tolerant of dissent. He is not loud, so many may not know him. But if you appear before him, certainly he is a friend of the bar. I wish him well.
The president of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAC, Mr. Samuel Afute Otu, also has something to say about the retiring Justice Philip Bright-Mensah.
My lords, permit me to say that His Lordship Justice Philip Bright-Mensah was one of the top bearers whose vision, courage, and dedication significantly contributed to the success of the association that we are proud of today. His contributions have shaped JUSAC into a stronger, more vibrant, and more responsive association, committed to the welfare and unity of its members. On this special day, the entire Judicial Service staff wish to express our heartfelt appreciation to His Lordship.
At the end, it was all joy. Watch the dance. Very beautiful. But of course, to crown it all, the Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafuboni, who was initially out of the jurisdiction and he was sure-bound to miss the moments, finally arrived to share the final moments with Justice Philip Bright Mensah. It was all fun, family members, members of the Supreme Court, justices of the Supreme Court, the Superior Court, Court of Appeal, High Court, and within directors within the judicial service, all gathered to celebrate Justice Philip Bright Mensah. From the Supreme Court here in Accra, Mutala Inusa, GHOne.
And my name is Kweku Temeng. Now we're ready to bring you the latest from our world of business.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana. Passion for technology.
Let's talk about concerns of traders as the Ghana Union of Traders Association, I'm talking about GHOne, is calling for an urgent review of Act 1151, proposing a simplified 3 to 4% VAT flat rate for the informal sector to make compliance easier for traders. While addressing the media, the president of the association, Clement Boateng, urged the Ghana Revenue Authority, that's I'm talking about the GRA, to introduce incentives for shops and retail outlets to mandatorily register and collect VAT as a way of broadening the tax base. While GHOne also proposed an optional regime for traders who are comfortable with electronic services, allowing them to choose the most suitable tax compliance approach for their businesses.
We of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GHOne, have gathered here today to express our deep concern about the new VAT regime under the Act 1151. This regime poses a significant challenges to the trading community, and if not addressed urgently, will negatively impact business operations, leading to increased costs for consumers and then potential job losses. Despite our efforts, GRA has not respected the resolution that all of us agreed on. Instead, they have formed a task force to harass and coerce traders into submission. We demand that GRA halt the task force that they have formed and engage in meaningful talks to address implementation challenges, because we don't want to have any confrontation with the task force. And we are prepared to face them squarely.
Well, final word says they are prepared to face GRA squarely. Let's engage the Vice President, Joseph Paddy of GHOne, for more on this particular development with GHOne. Well, Joseph Paddy, thank you very much for your time. Been a while. Let me just find out from you, what's GHOne's ultimate expectation from government in resolving this matter, for that person at home to get a clearer understanding of really the concerns of GHOne?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me say good evening to your viewers, and then let me also thank you for the good work you're doing for Mother Ghana. Yes, it's true. We have some concerns that we express to GRA, but you look at our concerns are not being heeded to. When the GRA introduced the new Act, the Act 115 something, we're talking about implementation challenges that we face as a business community, especially how the informal sector, how informal our business are. So we wrote a letter to GRA for a clarification, but till date we've not heard from GRA. They said we're going to get back to it. We've also written to the finance ministry. They also said they were going to get back to us. They've not gotten back to us. But before we could say that, we've seen that GRA is giving some autonomy that ultimatum that we should all stop collecting the 3% tax and bring our books and come for the 20%, which we think is not going to help the business community. It's going to bring added costs to the consuming public. Because I gave an example that, just imagine you used to buy an engine from me, and that's going to cost about 15,000. And tomorrow you come and I tell you that government says I should take 20% VAT component on it. So it's going to add up to about 3,000 to make it 18,000. That's not going to be affordable for the consuming public. So we're fighting for the consuming public and we're fighting for our business too. So we are saying that as informal as we are, government should come back halt the implementation of the 20% VAT, and then let's go back to the status quo until we iron out the implementation challenges. Then we can all move together. That's some of our concerns we are sharing.
All right,
so the posture of GRH is not helping businesses, because if you come out with the ultimatum that for henceforth we should bring our 3% VAT to this and start charging 3%, who is qualified to go into the standard, who is qualified to go to the tax modification that they are introducing? So these are some of the difficulties we see in the implementation.
Well, Joseph Paddy, the government has come out to say, or GRA has mentioned that, look, it's 20%. You join in. And they've introduced a task force for that matter. But your president a short while ago just mentioned that the task force is harassing amongst others. Can you give us your experience or experience of your members with the task force so far?
Yes, the task force business is that the GRA is writing, has written to our members that they are coming on them to do auditing. And they also came out with a release that if you don't come for the 20% VAT receipt proof, and then you are caught, they will deal with you. And we've been telling them that it's ongoing conversation we are having with government. So they should halt it until we finish the deliberation with government. They will all come to a compromise and we'll have a starting point. But if you are coming out with this posture that if you don't bring, it's like you are threatening our members that if you don't bring the 3% VAT and you keep on using it, you'll be arrested and then you'll be prosecuted. These are the difficulties that we face.
You are advocating that if the GRA follows some of your proposed suggestions, it could rake in more into the tax bracket. But I wonder how this would work. How do you intend convincing your members to sign on, even if this enforcement is halted, to allow you have your way?
We've spoken to GRA, and all that we're saying is that, as it stands now, only about 30% of the informal sector are even in the tax. Even the formal and informal sector, about 30% of people, business community, are in the tax net. The 70% are after the tax net. What can we do to bring the 70% on board? When we bring the 70% on board and we share the tax basket amongst ourselves, we will get the needed revenue rather than the burden being placed on the 30% of people. And we've also assured government and GRA that we're going to support them to register our members who are outside the tax bracket. So these are some of the proposals we've got to on board. So what can we do so that we can bring all these people? When we bring in our class 1 mathematics, we say it's more or less divide. What can we do to bring more people on board so that we can divide among them? The tax rate can be extremely high, 20%. Look, when we look at even our neighboring country, the West Africa sub-region, let's take, for example, Nigeria with trade with. Their VAT rate is about 7.5. Then our VAT position is 20%. So that is why most time people go to Nigeria, bring goods, and it's cheaper than that. People go to Nigeria, do duty, and it's cheaper. You go to the port to clear your goods, the duty rate is about 50 to 55%. It's on the higher side. Our VAT rate is about 20%. It's on the higher side. So reduce the tax rate so that we get more people in the tax net, so that we all share the tax amongst ourselves, so that government can get the needed revenue. These are some of the things we want to share with government. Governance is about collaboration with your stakeholders. We make an input. We've written to the Minister of Finance that we wanted to meet the Finance Minister, so that we share some of these concerns and also bring proposals as to how we can, what we can do to get the needed revenue of the country. We've also, the has called, they said they want to meet this Friday to share. We were saying that we should have done this long ago before even the implementation stage. Because we identify and notice that there's going to be an implementation challenge. So let's resolve those ones. They wrote back to us that we're going to form a technical committee comprised with GRA and GHOne. They asked us to bring the names of our people who will be on the technical committee.
Okay. Mr. Paddy, I'm sure you've really made the points there. We're grateful for your time, and I'm sure we'll get back to you for an extended discussion on this. Well, that would do for Business for Tonight. When we come back, we're looking at the latest from our world of sports.
The Business Brief was brought to you by Ghana, passion for technology.
Many thanks for joining me here on Sports Brief. I am Monica Bukari. Manchester hosts Fulham at the Etihad Stadium in their latest Premier League clash with a reverse fixture earlier this season, ending in a thrilling 5-4 victory for the citizens. Speaking ahead of the game, City manager Pep Guardiola reflected on the demands of the second half of the season, stressing that his side must raise their level if they are to overcome Fulham.
Every time in the last month, in the last weeks, every time when
Sunderland will host league leaders Liverpool, who sit 6th on the table at the Stadium of Light tonight. The rest go into the encounter looking to get the top 4, while Sunderland will be aiming to pull off a major result on home soil. Speaking ahead of the fixture, Liverpool manager Arne Slot has acknowledged the gap between the two teams, stressing that the only way to close such a margin is by consistently winning more matches.
Disappointed not to have him against Sunderland, but on
For sports, my name is Monica Bukari. GHOne is up next.
All right, so on GHOne tonight, the minority in Parliament slammed the majority caucus over what they describe as abuse smoke wearing, following a declaration by the government to officially allow wearing of fugu on Wednesdays. Well, oh gosh, mine is so cool, yeah? Okay, let me continue. Now, this follows the official declaration by government encouraging all Ghanaians as well as friends of Ghana at home and abroad to dedicate every Wednesday to wearing fugu, and that's the batakari, in its various forms and designs. Well, the declaration by Minister Abla Jifa Gomashi is aimed at preserving, promoting, and celebrating Ghana's rich cultural heritage while projecting the nation's identity with pride on the global stage. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, the deputy whip called on the majority caucus to dress properly when putting on smoke on Wednesdays. Here are excerpts.
On the distinguished fugu and its Ghanaian heritage. The iconic Ghanaian smoke, locally known as fugu or batakari in my local language, traces its origin to the northern savanna regions of Ghana, to the ancient Dagomba, Mamprusi, and Gonja kingdoms, emerging around the 15th century. Mr. Speaker, traditionally woven from stripes of cotton grown in the savanna soils of Temale, Yendi, Salaga, and neighboring towns, fugu's creation was generally influenced by the northern region's climate and the availability of locally produced cotton. This attire evolved from simple tunic worn by warriors and farmers to royalty and chiefs. Mr. Speaker, although deeply rooted in Northern culture and embodies ethnic identity, Fugu has over the years won the heart of the entire nation. Its tightly woven nature, interlocking motifs, and signature patterns symbolizes strength, authority, cultural pride, and unity. It is worn in colorful displays during festivals, weddings, funerals, and official gatherings. Mr. Speaker, the importance of Fugu, especially to Northern Ghana, is vital and multifaceted.
The smoke was part of our culture even when we gained independence. But in recent years, successive governments have taken...
Well, let's bring you some international news at this moment. On the international front tonight, a self-proclaimed Kenyan preacher linked to starvation called more than 400 people has been charged over an additional 52 deaths. Hundreds of bodies were discovered just inland from Kenya's beach resort of Malindi in what became known as the Shakahola Forest Massacre, one of the world's worst cult-related tragedies. Self-proclaimed pastor Paul Mackenzie has pleaded not guilty to multiple counts of manslaughter at his trial in Mombasa and remained in custody. But last year, more bodies were discovered in the remote village of Binzaro, 20 miles from Shakahola along the Indian Ocean coast, suggesting the same cult had continued to operate even after Mackenzie's arrest. The defendants have again pleaded not guilty, and the next hearing of the case is due on March 4, 2026. All right, so every time we eat, food and sugar are trapped between our teeth, leading to both decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. Well, brushing your teeth every morning and evening with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the perfection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. So tonight, do the two, all right? Do the two before you go to bed tonight. Remember to brush with Pepsodent. Yes, I'm going to brush with Pepsodent. Remember, you brush with Pepsodent. That's about all on the bulletin. On behalf of the entire production team, we salute you, we appreciate you, and we urge that you keep your channel right here. Enjoy the rest of your evening.